He was a phantom, a specter haunting the cobbled streets of Medellín. Pablo Escobar, the name whispered in hushed tones, carried the weight of both dread and awe. He was a man who had risen from the slums to become a modern-day emperor. His wealth, unimaginable. His power, absolute. His reign, a maelstrom of violence and fear. Escobar, the cocaine king, cast a long shadow. It stretched from the mountains of Colombia to the streets of Miami and beyond. His story is not one of redemption. It is a descent into the heart of darkness. Rio Negro, a sleepy town nestled in the Andes, was an unlikely birthplace for a man who would shake nations. Here, Pablo Escobar was born into poverty. His family, like many others, struggled to survive. The young Escobar, however, possessed a sharp mind and an even sharper ambition. He yearned for more than a life of hardship. He craved power. Early on, he dabbled in petty crime, a foreshadowing of the darkness to come. He was a chameleon, adapting and evolving, driven by an insatiable hunger for wealth and influence. His ruthlessness was apparent even then. He was a predator who had smelled blood in the water. The world, in his eyes, was a jungle. Only the strong survived, and Escobar was determined to be the apex predator. The 1970s saw the rise of a new market. Cocaine, once a vice of the elite, was becoming increasingly popular. Escobar, with his keen sense of opportunity, recognized the potential of this white powder. It was a path to unimaginable wealth. He seized it with both hands. He established smuggling routes, connecting the coca fields of Colombia with the insatiable demand of the United States. His empire grew exponentially. Planes, boats, even submarines, all were employed in his quest for domination. Escobar was a logistical genius, weaving a complex web of production and distribution. He was a phantom, always one step ahead, always in control. The money poured in, more than he could ever spend. Yet the hunger for power, the need for control, only intensified. Escobar's reign was built on a foundation of fear. He ruled through a simple yet brutal philosophy: plata o plomo, silver or lead. Accept my bribe or face my bullets. This was the choice he offered. This was the law of the land. He assembled an army of sicarios, young men seduced by the allure of wealth and power. They became his instruments of terror, carrying out his every whim, no matter how ruthless. Judges, politicians, journalists, anyone who dared to stand in his way met a swift and brutal end. Escobar's violence was not random. It was calculated. It was a tool used to eliminate rivals, silence dissent, and maintain his iron grip on the cocaine trade. He was a master manipulator, playing a deadly game of chess with the lives of his enemies. A city divided. In the slums of Medellín, Escobar was seen as a savior. He built homes, schools, and hospitals. He handed out cash to the poor, earning him the moniker Robin Hood. But his philanthropy was a mask, a cynical ploy to buy the loyalty of the masses. Beneath the veneer of generosity lay a heart of stone. The blood of countless innocents stained his hands. He was responsible for the deaths of thousands, their lives extinguished in a hail of bullets. He was a paradox, a man who could be both benevolent and monstrous. To some, he was a demigod, a symbol of hope in a city ravaged by poverty. To others, he was the devil incarnate, the architect of unimaginable suffering. He was a living contradiction, a man who embodied both the best and the worst of humanity. Escobar's ambition knew no bounds. He declared war on his own country. He sought to bend Colombia to his will. He infiltrated the government, bribing officials and judges. those who refused his money were met with the sharp end of his violence. His reign of terror reached its peak with the bombing of Avianca Flight 203. Over 100 innocent people lost their lives. The world watched in horror. This act of barbarism shattered any illusion of Escobar as a benevolent benefactor. He was a terrorist, a monster. The Colombian government, under immense pressure, launched an all-out offensive against Escobar and his cartel. He responded with characteristic brutality, unleashing a wave of violence that would leave the country reeling. The lines between good and evil blurred in the ensuing chaos. Behind bars and beyond. The illusion of confinement. In 1991, Escobar, facing mounting pressure, negotiated his surrender to the Colombian authorities. He was imprisoned in La Catedral, a luxurious prison built to his specifications. But even behind bars, his reign of terror continued. He ruled from his cell, conducting business as usual. La Catedral was less a prison and more a fortress from which he could continue to direct his empire. The Colombian government, however, could not tolerate this charade for long. Plans were made to transfer Escobar to a more secure facility, but he was always one step ahead. In 1992, he escaped from La Catedral, vanishing into the sprawling slums of Medellín. He was a ghost once more, haunting the city that had become synonymous with his name. His escape was a testament to his power and influence. He had corrupted the system from within, turning his prison into a sanctuary. The manhunt that followed would be the most extensive and expensive in Colombian history. The walls close in, the hunt for Escobar. Escobar's escape sparked an unprecedented manhunt. The Colombian government, aided by the United States, deployed its full military and intelligence might to track him down. The streets of Medellín became a battleground. Escobar, however, was a master of evasion, a phantom who disappeared and reappeared at will. He was aided by a network of loyal followers, his eyes and ears on the ground. He was a ghost, always lurking just out of reach. But the net was tightening. His empire was crumbling. His allies were turning against him. The pressure was mounting. The hunter was becoming the hunted. Every shadow seemed to hold a threat. Every phone call could be his last. The man who had once seemed invincible was now a fugitive, running for his life. The Kingpin Falls. Death in Medellín. On December 2nd, 1993, Escobar's reign of terror came to an end. He was cornered in a middle-class neighborhood in Medellín. A shootout ensued. As the bullets flew, Escobar made a desperate dash across the rooftops, seeking escape. But there was nowhere left to run. He was gunned down, his body riddled with bullets. The image of his lifeless body, sprawled on a rooftop, became a symbol of the end of an era. The Kingpin had fallen. His death was met with mixed emotions. Relief, certainly, but also, for some, a sense of loss. He had become a mythical figure, a dark legend. His death left a void, a sense of uncertainty in its wake. The enduring legacy of a criminal mastermind. Pablo Escobar's legacy is a complex one. He was a ruthless criminal, responsible for the deaths of thousands. Yet, he was also a product of his environment, a man shaped by the poverty and inequality that plagued his country. His story is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the corrosive power of wealth, ambition, and the allure of easy money. Even in death, his shadow looms large. The cocaine trade continues to flourish, a testament to the enduring demand for illicit substances. The violence that plagued Colombia during his reign has abated, but the scars remain. Escobar's story is a reminder that the war on drugs is a complex and multifaceted issue with no easy solutions. He was a man of contradictions, a brutal killer who loved his family, a ruthless businessman who gave back to the poor, In the end, Pablo Escobar was a study in human darkness, a stark reminder of the capacity for both good and evil that resides within us all.